Okay, we're going to be taking a look at this lens. This is the Tamron 90mm f2.8 macro lens, which I've had for Sony E-mount cameras, shooting with my Sony a7 IV predominantly. This came out at the end of last year, so the end of 2024. How does this stack up, right? Is this a lens you should be adding to your kit bag? Is it worth your time? Well, there's a lot of things, actually, I've got to say, that I really like about this lens. I particularly like macro lenses with a nice sort of long focal length, a bit like this one, because they just add a lot of versatility to your kit bag normally for a pretty reasonable price as well. That absolutely feels the case with this one, because of course, yes, it's set up really well for macro photography, but actually a 90mm f2.8 lens with decent autofocus really allows you to shoot all kinds of different things. That's useful for landscape, for portraiture, for sure, and really being able to hone in on a subject. So while absolutely this is kind of aimed at macro photography and it's in the name, there's a lot that you can do with this that isn't macro focused if that's not something that you focus in on, no pun intended, all the time. Now, I've had this, like I say, for the best part of a week. My friend and our blog writer here, Nick Doutledge, actually took this out a little bit earlier in the year, so we had some lovely frost to photograph. And I mention that because normally the photographs in these reviews are taken entirely by me, but I think that it's worth using some of Nick's photos just because they're so beautiful. And it really does show off what this lens can do, especially with that frost. It's so lovely. And that's probably the most important thing about a lens, right? The image quality here, I think, is outstanding. This is with minimal editing. I just think it looks wonderful. The optical quality that you're getting straight out of this lens just looks fantastic. Really detailed, very sharp, the colors, the renditioning. It's just very, very good. You've got a 12 bladed aperture inside, which is giving you very smooth and frankly, very good looking out of focus bokeh areas, which I think is a great thing because with a macro lens, you are absolutely going to be dealing with those shallow depth of field, out of focus areas. It's nice to see it's not kind of artifacty or anything like that. It's nice and smooth. The autofocus works really well as well, even on those close-up macro shots. And actually, it's surprisingly quick as well. Now, I say surprisingly quick. Autofocus now is so good, but it's great to see a lens like this keeping up with some of that faster autofocus technology we see in cameras. But what about the feel of the lens itself? Well, I actually really like it. It's a little bit longer than I was kind of expecting it to be, but it doesn't feel that heavy. It's about 630 grams in weight, which feels really nice on the front of a camera. Because of the length of it, it sits really nicely in the hand if you are shooting handheld. And you've got this really nice, quite wide manual focus ring, which just allows you to get that manual focus shot, which is so useful, especially for macro photography. That's a really important part of a macro lens, I think. Otherwise, the controls are fairly minimal, which again, I don't hate that at all. It's quite a nice sleek design. You've got a button on the side, a customizable button there, and then the focus limiter as well. That's pretty much it. The one thing I would probably change is there's no AF/MF switch actually on the lens, which I would have loved to have seen just because it's useful to be able to at a glance see that, but you can control it from the camera. It's not really a problem. Hey, Editing Gareth here. Just a quick correction. I've actually since realized that you can use the custom function button on the lens to actually set it as an AF/MF switch. So while would I have loved an AF/MF switch on the lens? Sure. You can make that a reality if you want to, if that's something that's important to you. Worth pointing out, because actually that is pretty cool. I also think that the price, which is not something we always discuss, is worth mentioning here. It's coming in currently at the time of this video at around £599, which really means you're getting quite a lot of lens for that money. That's really giving you a lot of versatility, I think, because of the macro capabilities, which looks stunning, but then the additional versatility of a 90mm f2.8 lens, nice fast aperture, 90mm, great for, like I said before, portraiture, but landscape, lots of different things. You really can do an awful lot with this lens for, I think, a pretty affordable price to add a prime lens to your kit bag. All in all, though, I think this is a fantastic option to add to your kit bag, whether you shoot a lot of macro photography or whether it's something you want to get into. I think there's a lot that you can do with this lens that doesn't have to revolve around macro photography. And when you do want to do macro photography, it is just a stunning bit of glass for that kind of stuff. The optical quality really is very nice, and especially at that price point. I think it's a great option. I think it's a lovely lens. You can check out the full spec. Absolutely check out our blog as well over at parkcameras.com. I'll pop links down in the description so you can check that out for yourself. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well because there's new content all the time. I will see you in the next video. But until then, as always, thanks for watching.